It's time for the Phil Ferguson Show.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Phil Ferguson, and you are listening to the cleverly titled The Phil Ferguson Show. I am so delighted that you have been able to join us, and we've got extra fun stuff today. We've got a couple of things. One is we are going to talk about Black Nonbelievers. We have an interview with Mandisa Thomas, so we're going to have great fun with that. And then I'm going to talk about the system. And the system is a way that you can guarantee that you will win a horse race, and it's a way that a broker or some other salesperson can guarantee you that you will have success with their recommendations that they give to you. And often those recommendations start out for free, and then you've got to put a little bit of money on the line after you win a couple of times, and I'm going to explain kind of how that works. So two very different things. I hope you enjoy that. And of course, I'm going to be traveling here soon, going to one of my favorite places, Italy. So the shows are going to be a little more spaced out, and I might even skip a couple of weeks. My apologies for that. And for the patrons, that's why I ask for contributions, one per episode, not per month, because if I put out fewer shows, you contribute fewer dollars. So thank you for doing that. If you've not done that and you do appreciate the show and the effort that goes into it, you can go to patreon.com/Phil and kick in a few bucks. It's not really any kind of main source of income for me, but it helps offset the time that I do spend making the show. And it's a nice way to say thank you, Phil, for producing this content for free and giving it to us and telling us how to make our lives better and how to money. So if you have that available, a couple of bucks would be nice. Coming up on a future show, I hope it's the next show, fingers crossed, I will be interviewing Andrew Seidel. He is a staff attorney, and I think he's like the lead staff attorney for the FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation, and I may have just messed up his title. We'll find out in the next episode. I'll double check. And he has a brand new book coming out that I'm desperately trying to read before the interview, and I'm going to get most of it, I think, but not all of it. But it's all about the founding fathers and the myth that this is indeed a Christian nation and is founded on Christian values all the way down to its core, and the Declaration and the Constitution. Is it really a Christian nation? You're going to find out in the next show where we talk to Andrew Seidel. So got a lot of good stuff planned, so we're just going to get right into it right after this.
He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and they always need a little more. Now, you talk about a good bullshit story. Holy shit.
This Investing Skeptically segment is called The System, and that's in recognition of a documentary, an episode, a show created by Darren Brown. He is a very famous magician / mentalist out of the United Kingdom, and did a segment or a show, documentary, if you will, called The System by Darren Brown. I highly recommend you watching it. Matter of fact, it's so good that if you watch it a second time, it gets even better. And I'm going to give you spoilers. So if you want to see that without kind of knowing what happens in the episode, you may want to pause and go Google or search on YouTube, Derren Brown, Derren Brown, The System. And basically what he does there is he is able to predict correctly 5 times in a row which horse is going to win a race. And then he takes this person to one final horse race where they borrow 4,000 pounds. It is a British show after all, so they borrow 4,000 pounds and gets them to bet 4,000 pounds that they do not have. They had to borrow it from friends and family and what do they call it? A loaning company, a bond company, something like that. And then they show you what happens in the episode. So again, I don't want to completely spoil that, but I will eventually, before this segment is over, spoil that for you. So if you want to see it without the spoilers, go watch Derren Brown, The System. And the reason this came up is I got a delightful email, one of my favorites recently, because this is something I actually have talked about in talks before and with individual clients before. And I guess apparently all the shows that I've made, I have never done a segment on this. I was really stunned to realize that. And I looked through some notes, which my notes are not that good, but I'm pretty sure I've never done this as a segment. So I was like, oh my God, I love this and I have to do it. And it does tie back, and the JC, I'm just going to give initials because I don't have permission, but they'll know who they are. JC sent this email that prompted this whole thing. And it goes back to stock picks. And so it does tie into the general thematic nature of my show with investing. And it's one of those things that depends on who you are and your age and your income. But if you have been around for a while or you make a little bit of money, particularly if you have been around in the 70s and 80s, it's less common of a thing now. But it used to be, because I remember my dad getting these, where you'd get a phone call from a broker and they have a hot stock tip for you. And you don't have to do anything. They don't want you to invest. They don't want you to put any money down. There's no risk. There's no cost. You don't have to do anything. And they tell you about a stock and they tell you it's going to go up. And then a week later, they'll follow up and say, hey, I told you that stock was going to go up. That stock went up. Now I'm going to give you another prediction. And they pick a different stock and they say it's going to go down. And so they call you a week later and that stock went down. And I said, now look, I told you twice what was going to happen. I think it'd only be reasonable now, just open an account and I'm going to ask you to make a $100 investment. That's all, just $100. And so you open an account and you make a $100 investment and they pick a third stock and they tell you that this stock C, just to keep things straight here, stock C is going to go up. And you do that and stock C goes up. And they have a system, just like this episode from Derren Brown is called The System. And now they have told you 3 different stocks, what they're going to do, up or down. 3 times they've been right. You're pretty impressed. And so now they say, okay, I've shown you what I can do. Now let's get a little more serious about this. And now instead of $100, I'd like you to invest $10,000. You might have to pull money from somewhere else. You might have to get a loan from the company, a loan from somewhere else, whatever. And you make an investment on stock number 4, letter D, stock D. And hopefully it goes up if that's what they told you it's going to do, or hopefully it goes down if that's what they told you it's going to do, because you can short a stock so you can sell it before you own it and you make money. And this continues ad infinitum. And every time that you do this, they want you to make a bigger and bigger purchase, bet, I'm going to call it. And now I'm going to explain kind of how that works. And this is going to get into spoiling the episode. So again, last chance. If you want to see the Derren Brown episode, You can come back to this, and of course, you're going to know what happens next here. But if you're not going to take time to go watch that, that's cool. I'm going to explain it to you. And so if you call 8 people and stock A, we're going to go back to the beginning, stock A. Well, let's make it 16 people. You call 16 people. 8 of them, you tell them the stock's going to go up. 8 of them, you tell them the stock's going to go down. Now, of course, if you do this via email, you can do this to hundreds and maybe thousands of people. But we're doing this on phone call back in the day when you made phone calls. So 8 people get told it's going to go up. 8 people is going to told it's going to get down. See, now I got to make some notes here, right? So we're going to have 8 and 8. Now, you tell 8 stock A is going up. You tell 8 stock A is going down. You can't lose. I mean, the only way you can lose is if the stock is the exact same price a week from now, but that's likely not going to happen. So the group that wins your bet follows your wisdom. 8 people, you call and you give them a second stock tip. Now, the 8 that didn't win, you told them the stock was going to go up and the stock went down. You don't call them back because you're not going to call them back because you gave them a hot tip that the stock's going to go down and it went up. So they're never going to listen to you again. Right out of the gate, you're wrong. But 8 of those people, you can call them back, and now you tell 4 the stock's going to go up, and 4 that the stock is going to go down. And the stock goes down, and those 4 people, you've now been right twice in a row. And now you have 4 people who are probably willing to open up an account and put in $100. It's trivial. And you tell 2 of them the stock's going up, and you tell 2 of them the stock's going down, and the stock goes up. And so those 2 people made money on that stock, and now you hit them up for a $10,000 account. So you may have started with 16 people, and maybe you lose some people along the way, but you get the general idea. But from your perspective, as I first described it, if you're that person, you're looking at this and going, this person has been right 3 times in a row. What are the odds of that? Amazing, 3 times in a row. Well, if it wasn't a fix, if it wasn't a statistical thing, if you knew about the other people, the odds are, of course, it's going to happen 100% chance. But you might think 50-50 on the first one. To get 2 in a row right is 25%. To get 3 in a row right is 12.5%. To get 4 in a right is 6.25%. But you did make that $10,000 bet. So there's the first group, the second group, the third group. The 4th time you do it, your $10,000 becomes $11,000 because the stock goes up. The odds of that, you think, are like 2 or 3%. This advisor, this stock picker, dare not call them an advisor, the stock picker is amazing, and now they want you to do a $100,000 account. So you get $100,000 in there. And you might think, Phil, how are they making money on this? How is it that they're benefiting? Well, this is not going to be a $5.99 trade. This is going to be a broker managed trade, and they're going to make $400 or $500, maybe more. Maybe they're selling the stock out of inventory. The other thing that happens is once you get 2 or 3 right, even if they're wrong, you still have this bias that they're really good at their job, and so you don't yank your money out right away. Plus, you went to all the trouble of putting your money in there, and this person was right 4 out of 5 times. Let's try another one. And so that's how it builds. And of course, you can add in other psychological things that humans are weird with, like remembering the hits and forgetting the misses. You remember the times that the stock picks were correct, and you forget the times that the stock picks are not correct. So this person can use a system where they are all but assured that they can make 4 or 5 or even more predictions correctly, as long as they have a large enough number of people to start this process with. So in the one that we started with, we needed 16 people. So if you have all day on your hands and nothing to do, and a phone in front of you, or even more people with an email, you can send out free stock picks to tens of thousands of people. And for some of those people, you're going to be right. Then you cut it in half. And for some of those people, you're going to be right a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time. And as you're looking at these recommendations that are coming to you, you do not know that you're one of thousands of people. You do not know that most of the other thousands of people got wrong recommendations. You don't have that information. And I loved in the episode how Darren Brown brings this to homeopathy, because you can take something that's completely worthless and it seems like it works for you. Well, did it actually do anything, or did you happen to get better right after you took it? And of course, that also brings in the placebo effect. And of course, if you have someone giving you the homeopathic medicine, they might actually spend some time and effort with you and make you feel better about the whole process. But it's just kind of a breakdown on how this system works. And so you can have an advisor. The big thing now is mutual funds, and that they can put you in mutual funds that are doing really, really well. And they're kind of doing the same thing, because I get a database every calendar quarter that has something like 30, 40,000. I don't even know. Maybe it's 50,000 now. I haven't looked. Mutual funds. And you can go through there and you can pick out all the hot mutual funds. Well, are they hot because they're onto something? They actually have a system? Or are they hot because eventually somebody has to be hot? Somebody has to win the lottery. Some mutual fund must outperform the other mutual funds. Is it random chance? Or are they good? And how do you know? How do you know in advance that they're going to do it again? And so that underpins a very big part of my thought process and the psyche of how I look at mutual funds. And one of the reasons why, after trying to do that myself for years, figuring out which mutual funds are the best ones, I became educated and informed. And that's why I recommend the books that I recommend, that you can't know which mutual funds are going to win in advance. I can look at the historical data and see who won in the past, but I can't know for sure who's going to win in advance. So the only way to win, in kind of a way, is to not play the game. And that's ties in specifically to the book, Winning the Loser's Game. So you want to invest in a way that gives you a high probability of success, index funds, broad diversification. You're in all segments of the market, at least for the stock part. Bond investing is a totally different thing. That's why we have different show segments on that. And sometimes with the contrarian philosophy, the segments of the market that have fallen behind are actually more likely to do better in the future, where most people end up picking hot funds, and which creates a regular situation where someone will show me a portfolio that they have been given by another advisor. And the funds that they pick have these phenomenal 3, 5, even 10-year track records. But over the last 3 years, they've sucked. Just awful. They would have been better throwing darts at a wall. And they come to me and they show me this portfolio. And I said, let me guess, all these funds were recommended to you about 3 years ago. I'm like, whoa, yeah. How did you know that? Because the history says that from 3 years ago to 13 years ago, these funds were amazing. But over the last 3 years, they sucked. And you're like that person who flipped 3 heads in a row thinking you're now better at flipping heads. It just doesn't work that way. And if they're picking and choosing funds that have succeeded, there's also no way for them to know that they're going to succeed in the future. And that's, the data is there. The data is strong. There is no system for picking winning stocks. There is no system for picking winning horses or predicting coin tosses. So that's kind of the wrap up of the system, is to acknowledge what you do know and don't know. And again, I recommend that you go watch the Darren Brown episode and watch all the way to the end, because they take this one person and she bets 4,000 pounds, and you're going to want to find out, does she win on the last bet or doesn't she? So that's a little bit on the system. The Phil Ferguson Show is for educational purposes only. Nothing said on the show should be interpreted as personalized investment advice. Your investments should be based on your situation, and you should consult with your financial advisor before taking any action. The show may contain ads. These ads are placed into the show by the hosting company after I finish recording and editing. I have little control over the content of the ads, and you should not assume that I support their products or claims. If you choose to support the show via the new Patreon page, that support does not create an advisor-client relationship.
If you support the Catholic Church, isn't that like the same thing as being an R. Kelly fan?
All right, everybody. Today we have Mandisa Thomas. She is the founder of Black Nonbelievers, and she is very, very busy, and we're going to talk about some of the cool stuff that she is doing. Mandisa, how are you today?
I am doing well. I think I may have some travel fatigue, but I am just fine. Thank you.
Well, you get an incredibly rare exception on my podcast. You were on the previous work week because I had the segment from the American Atheist Conference, and now you're on for a full-length interview, so you're back-to-back.
Yes, absolutely. And it's been a whirlwind of a year, but it's been an amazing experience because I appreciate the movement's support in my move to full-time activism, as well as growing the organization and supporting the events and programs that we're developing. So this is really excited. It's really exciting, and I'm just so happy.
Now, do I understand correctly, you grew up in a religious family?
I did not. I wasn't formally raised religious. I was pretty much raised in a secular household, and I learned early on about religion and the impact it has had on the Black community, not in a good way. So yes, I definitely just, I made sure that it definitely had an impact on me, so that it kind of helped shape my worldview.
Well, what percentage of the Black community do you think raises their children secular?
Well, according to the most recent Pew Research numbers, the number of religiously identified Blacks is still about at 79%, which is high considering that, according to the latest Census Bureau, Blacks only make about 12% of the U.S. population. And so what that means is that, most Black families are attempting at least to raise their children religious in some way.
Now, I also know that many, many years ago, when I would go to national-based atheist conferences, there was often not a single person of color. And I'm being very broad, Hispanic, Asian, African American. They weren't there at all. And some conferences are doing better than others at getting that diversity. And the American Atheist Conference we were both just at does a much better job than some. But I'm assuming you think it still could do better?
Absolutely, they could. Now I will say that there have been some really good efforts and some good attempts to be more inclusive within with the conferences and the organizations. But yes, there definitely could be better. There could be improvement on the part of the major organizations, but also this is what Black Nonbelievers as an organization is doing as well, because of the fact that we know that there's a specific problem that would be better addressed by us and would be better suited by working with our partner organizations. This is what our work has entailed over the past 8 years, is incorporating the inclusion and building up that community so that there can be more diversity and inclusion at the major conferences and conventions.
I like it. So tell me a little bit about Black Nonbelievers, how it started. I know you're the founder, and where it is now, how people can find it, how they can join, all those kind of fun things.
Absolutely. So Black Nonbelievers was started in Atlanta in 2011, and it was originally just founded to be a local community organization because there were other organizations around at the time that were geared towards the Black community and people of color. However, over the years, this has progressed to becoming a national entity because there was interest in starting more local communities in various cities. And so since then, we have expanded to now 15 chapters. I'm excited to announce that we have just established an affiliate group in the New Orleans area, so not chapters, affiliates. We just started one in the New Orleans area, and I'm very, very happy that some of the folks in that city decided to step up and start building the network down there. You can find us at blacknonbelievers.org. That is our website. We're also available on Facebook at, you type in Black Nonbelievers. We have a public page. We also have a closed group for members. We also are on Twitter at BNonbelievers. And the B and the N are capitalized. And we're also on Instagram. So, we're catching up with social media. Our Instagram page is B Nonbelievers Inc. And we also have a YouTube channel. So there are plenty of ways to contact us and to find the work that we're doing. And our primary specialty is in-person events and building community in person. So we are very on the ground engaging people in person. And we've also been successful in helping people to share their stories and share their views so that people know that they are not alone. That is one of the main things that people need to be reassured of when they leave their religious community, and also as being still underrepresented within the secular community.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is I don't have to worry about getting you to promote. So that makes my job as the interviewer much easier. So thank you for that. And of course,
no problem.
you have coming up, we're going to start with the cruse, which you have done at least once before, maybe twice before. Tell us about the cruse.
Yes. So we are doing our third annual cruse event, which is now titled bnccon.com. Yes, BNCCon, excuse me. I was just looking at the website. Is a title BNCCon 2019. And we did this 2 years before in 2017 and in 2018. And this is basically a get together, and it is a convention. We are aboard a large ship, and there are a number of us heathens, if you will, that are getting together, having a good time, but also having a very informative time as well. So we have a number of speakers from within the Black atheist demographic. Myself, Bridget Crutchfield out of Detroit, Victor Harris out of the Bay Area, and we also are featuring Dr. Darrell Ray as one of our speakers this year. He's with Recovering from Religion and the Kansas City Oasis Group, and he has been a tremendous ally to Black nonbelievers as well as the Black secular community, and he is an amazing person, and I'm very, very proud to call him a friend, and he's also one of our speakers. And so we're going to be on a ship for 6 nights, maybe a quarter of a day. And this is a good way for us to get to know each other better, continue to build up that community, for people to learn about the activism that is taking place, to hear from authors, and to see the work that is being produced, especially from the Black atheist demographic.
I like it. Now, I did want to clarify for the listeners because I myself got confused. The website is BN for Black Nonbelievers, and then the C is not the letter for cat. It's
right.
SEACON, CCON. So I know from having picked a very unfortunate email address personally that has the letter C and the letter U in it, sometimes people go CESEE, letter C, SEA, YOU, U, but it's BNSEACON.com, BNCCon. So
yes.
C convention. I get it. I get it now. It's coming together, and they can register and go on this cool cruise. And where does it leave from?
It leaves from Miami, Florida, and this year we will be aboard the Carnival Horizon, which is one of Carnival's newer ships, and we'll be stopping at Ocho Rios, Jamaica, Grand Cayman Island, and Cozumel, Mexico.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a lot of fun. I just got done with a cruise, and it maybe wasn't my thing, but you know what? I might have just not been on a big enough boat and with a whole bunch of party people.
Right. And it isn't for everyone, which, we understand. But, it's also a good way for people to start traveling internationally, if you will, because there are quite a few people who have never taken a cruise. And it's good to, again, travel with like-minded individuals and to know how to do this type of travel in the future. Because even though the ships are large, it's still a very confined space and you're there for days at a time. And it's good to be prepared for that. But the one thing that we know for sure is that there's every safety precaution that's taken. We don't have to worry about that many disasters. But it's a fun and exciting thing for people to do.
Now, I'm assuming this much fun must be like what, $2,000 or $3,000 per person?
Actually, no. Our prices start at $850 per person for double occupancy. And again, this is for a 6-night cruise. And most of your meals are included. We do recommend saving up a bit for spending money, as well as any other additional amenities and packages that the cruise line offers. So probably after you purchase your shore excursions and packages for Wi-Fi or maybe alcoholic beverages, it may be close to about $1,000 to $1,100, but definitely not $3,000.
Excellent. I'm excited to hear that. And you also have another conference that you are working on. So talking about making yourself a full-time person, and hopefully you can make a living on this. This is great. You have another conference, and I'm extra excited, not just because of the content, but because I can drive to it because it's in Chicago. Can you tell us about that event?
Yes, absolutely. So we are planning Black Nonbelievers along with the Black Skeptics Group and Women's Leadership Project out of Los Angeles. We're putting on the first ever Women of Color Beyond Belief conference. It will take place from October 4th through the 6th, like you said, in Chicago. And the presenters and speakers and organizers for the first time ever are all women of color that have worked in this movement, that have been active in the movement, but have not received the visibility that they deserve. And so when you think of previous conferences like Women in Secularism, you have Secular Women Work, there has been a good effort to be more inclusive of women of color. However, with the work that we have produced in the secular movement as an organization, we have helped to cultivate and also connect with other activists who are women who may be working with other entities, but have never been in the same space at the same time. And so this is monumental because it gives people the opportunity to learn from us what we experience and also how the movement and the community can improve. And it's best to hear it from the people who are living the experiences and who are working in it, as well as people who are producing the community, building the community and producing content as well. And this conference is open to everyone. We hope that everyone will support and participate. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some great events associated with the conference, and it's just going to be an amazing event.
Well, you brought up one of my next questions, and partly probably because we've talked about this before, but it's women of color, and the entire speaking cast is all professional speakers, women of color, and they're going to talk about issues that are important to them. But anyone can go, and maybe a lot of people should go that aren't women of color, to make sure that they understand the unique situations that are involved in your life and their life. And again, this is $175. Am I reading this right?
Correct. You have the early bird registration of $175. You can save until July of this year. It includes the conference admission, which we will have breakfast and lunch included. It's on the first day. And that price also includes the White Nights Black Paradise reception Friday, October 4th. And we're also holding a red carpet divas ball on Saturday, October 5th. And so that price is inclusive of all of those events. So if you're going to register, you'll want to register and save now. We're also working on a service project component with the outreach group that worked with American Atheists as well as the Pennsylvania Atheist and Humanist State Conference. So we're going to be doing some meal packing that will benefit a local organization that specifically provides services for people of color. Of course, it's open to everyone, but we will also be incorporating that into the event as well. You don't have to register for the conference to participate, and there will be more information on that in the very near future. So in addition to the fun, we will be putting a purpose into this party, so to speak, and we hope that everyone will support that too.
I like it. Now, you have been so very kind, and you created a special link just for me and the listeners of my show. And I'm going to give people a couple ways to get there. First of all, you can go to blacknonbelievers.wordpress.com /Phil. I think that worked, and I don't know if that works only because I've got a cookie or something, but in case that doesn't work, it's blacknonbelievers, all one word, .wordpress.com /Phil Ferguson-show. And I'm going to have in the show notes a bit.ly link, which is, very short, and you can click on that. I'm also going to put that on my personal Facebook page, Phil Ferguson. I'm also going to put that on the Phil Ferguson Show website, or not website, Facebook page for that. And would you be able to get a link on the Black Nonbelievers homepage?
Yes, I am actually working on that as we speak. I'm actually working on shortening the link as well for everyone's convenience.
Yeah, because I'm weird like that.
Because yes, I do take recommendations. I do take suggestions. And so, yes, I'm not just this obstinate person who doesn't listen to anyone. But yes, I am working on that. If those links should be readily available, but I will work on making them much more accessible, not just for Phil Ferguson Show listeners, who we do very much appreciate, but also for anyone else who is interested in supporting.
I like it. And you have a way to track how many people sign up there and or donate money, because they can just not sign up to go, but donate some money, right?
Yes, you can make a general donation to the website or to the conference to support travel funds, to support any other costs that are associated with putting on the event, because that can get very costly. And we want to provide the best experience for everyone there. And so, yes, you can make a general donation in whatever amount you choose.
So what I'm going to do, and you and I have not talked about this yet. So anyone that goes to my special link that we've talked about, and it'll be in all those places, if you go there, and even if you just sign up to go to the conference, if you use my link, I will match the money that you spend on the conference. So if you sign up for the full registration for $175, I will give $175.
Oh, awesome.
If you don't want to go to the conference, or you can't, or it doesn't fit your schedule, or whatever, you're in LA and you can't get to Chicago, we understand. Give some money. If you give $100 or $200, whatever you give, I'll match that as well. And I'm going to set a limit of $5,000. And so between ticket sales, student registration, dinner tickets, straight up donations, from the day this show goes live through May and through the end of June. So you've got 2 months and a day or two. Anything that goes through this link, you're going to track for me. Ticket sales, donations, everything. You're going to give me a number at the end of June. And no matter how big it is, up to $5,000, I'm going to match that to help provide funds for maybe some people that would really like to go but just don't have the means, because we want as many people to go to this as possible, particularly people who can't afford normal conferences, or maybe they're young and they just don't have a couple $100 laying around. That sound like a good plan?
It absolutely does. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it. And we definitely want to give as many people the opportunity to go as possible.
Do you have an idea how many people you expect at the conference?
We are expecting between 150 to 200 people.
Okay.
Of course, we can always hope that we get more, but the conference will be taking place at the Chicago Marriott Midway Hotel. So it's by Midway Airport. I know that is a Southwest hub, so hopefully it will also be convenient for travel. So that is where it's being, and even within definitely the Chicago area. So we're hoping that, like I said, if you cannot even afford to, we hope to provide, funds for people to attend, but also that it is convenient for everyone in the area and those who are traveling from out of town.
Well, and it works extra well for me because my suburb is southwest of Chicago. So getting to Midway, it's not the most convenient place, but it's not so bad. I think if the traffic's just right, I can get there in 40 minutes. So it is going to be fantastic for me because I'm going to save some money. But anyone in Chicago can get to this hotel. What was it again? Marriott, did you say?
The Chicago Marriott Midway.
Marriott Midway. Yeah, you can get there. And again, it's October 4th through 6th?
Yes, that is correct.
Whew. So we got that straight. And do you know if you have any plans for stuff next year, or is that still too early?
It's kind of early. It's still early. We are hoping to make Women of Color Beyond Belief an annual event, or at least a recurring event, even if it's biannual or something like that. The cruise will at this point be an annual event as though, because we've established it as a recurring event, and it has done well annually. Right now we're planning for to be at the next American Atheist Convention, but in 2021 is Black Nonbelievers 10-year anniversary, so we're going to start planning that very, very soon.
I am very excited. Once again, listeners, it's Black Nonbelievers, all one word, .wordpress.com/Phil-Ferguson-show, or go look for the really, really short and convenient bit.ly link that I'll have in the show notes on my personal Facebook page and the show's Facebook page. You can sign up for the conference and go get all the fun, and you're only out, you're paying for nice dinners and entertainment and great speakers. Matter of fact, can you give us a list of who the speakers are?
Yes, so the speakers will include the 5 fierce humanists that were on the cover of the July-August 2018 issue of the Humanist magazine, which are myself, Bridget Crutchfield, Candace Gorham, who just spoke at the American Atheist Convention this year, Sakivu Hutchinson, and Liz Ross. We will also have Lalandra Ra. We'll also have Bridget Gaudet. We'll have Rajani Gutla-Valetti, who is on the board for Foundation Beyond Belief. We will have Sonjai Davis out of the Washington, D.C. area. So there's going to be some fantastic and fabulous women who are doing some work in the movement and in respective communities.
I like it. I'm very excited. Anything else we should know about you? Black Nonbelievers, Women of Color, anything. It's your chance to promote one more time.
Awesome. So yes, please do visit our website at blacknonbelievers.wordpress.com. You may also support my Patreon at patreon.com/Mandisa Latifa. It is another way to support my activism. And we appreciate all of the support for our organization. And also, again, please visit us on Twitter at BNonbelievers. We are on Instagram at Black Nonbelievers, BNonbelievers Inc. You know what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Black Nonbelievers Inc. Yes, that's where we are. So sometimes I get these things mixed up. It's so weird.
It's
but
all good.
definitely, and we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Black Nonbelievers. And so, yes, you can find all of the information about us. We're definitely here and ready to welcome and be that ambassador and support for those who need it.
I just had one other idea. If someone's putting on a local or regional conference, of course, a national conference, can they contact you and be all awkward and say, hey, how do I get a black person to come talk? Would that be cool?
Well, we definitely provide references for speakers.
Okay.
So, yes, we do provide referrals. We do recommend speakers. We do recommend Black atheist speakers. So, yes, we are a resource for other organizations if they are looking for Black atheist speakers or other people of color.
Well,
so, yes, they absolutely can do that.
I just want to make sure no one says, I don't know how to get any African-American or black speakers, because I just gave them an answer. They can call you, they can contact you, and people go to conferences and they like to see some people like them. So help the diversification. We want to reach everybody in the United States. And I understand you've got your mission and I love it. But I want to reach everybody. So, we share the love and we go to each other's conferences, and I like it very much. Absolutely.
And again, once again, we are not just for the Black atheist demographic. We are open to everyone, but that is one of our primary focuses. We center Black atheists and give the support that they need, because we do collaborate with other organizations. Again, I serve on the board for American Atheists, and I also work with the American Humanist Association and their board. So it definitely is it is a reciprocal working relationship that we have with other organizations. And I just want to make that very clear.
I appreciate you doing so. And of course, I will see you in October because I'm going to be there. And I thank you very much for taking so much of your precious time to come join us on the Phil Ferguson Show.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
If there is a God, if there is, I think most reasonable people might agree that he's at least incompetent and maybe, just maybe, doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit, which I admire in a person and which would explain a lot of these bad results. So rather than be just another mindless religious robot, mindlessly and aimlessly and blindly believing that all of this is in the hands of some spooky, incompetent father figure who doesn't give a shit, I decided to look around for something else to worship, something I could really count on. And immediately, I thought of the sun. Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night. But first thing the next morning, I became a sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun, okay? Yeah. Unlike some other gods I could mention, I can actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can see something, I don't know, kind of helps the credibility along, So every day I can see the sun as it gives me everything I need: heat, light, food, flowers in the park, reflections on the lake, an occasional skin cancer, but hey, at least there are no crucifixions, and we're not setting people on fire simply because they don't agree with us. Sun worship is fairly simple. There's no mystery, no miracles, no pageantry, no one asks for money, there are no songs to learn, and we don't have a special building where we all gather once a week to compare clothing. And the best thing about the sun, it never tells me I'm unworthy. Doesn't tell me I'm a bad person who needs to be saved. Hadn't said an unkind word. Treats me fine. So I worship the sun. But I don't pray to the sun. Know why? I wouldn't presume on our friendship. It's not polite. I've often thought people treat God rather rudely, don't you? Asking trillions and trillions of prayers every day, asking and pleading and begging for favors. Do this, give me that, I need a new car, I want a better job. And most of this praying takes place on Sunday, his day off. It's not nice, and it's no way to treat a friend. But people do pray, and they pray for a lot of different things. Your sister needs an operation on her crotch. Your brother was arrested for defecating in a mall. But most of all, you'd really like to fuck that hot little redhead down at the convenience store. You know, the one with the eye patch and the club foot, huh? Can you pray for that? I think you'd have to. And I say, fine, pray for anything you want. Pray for anything. But what about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan. Gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine, but if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me. Couldn't you just skip the praying part and go right to his will? It's all very confusing. So to get around a lot of this, I decided to worship the sun. But, as I said, I don't pray to the sun. You know who I pray to? Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci.
You're listening to The Phil Ferguson Show.
Thank you for listening to the show, and I appreciate you being here. And a special thank you to everyone who recommends the show to other people. Of course, you can also show your appreciation by leaving a 5-star review on either iTunes or Stitcher. That helps out a lot because it increases the rankings for the show. If you like to contribute to the show to offset my costs and time for making the show, you can go to patreon.com/Phil, and you can do that. If you're not inclined to do that, the other thing you can do is help me raise some money for Black Nonbelievers and their Women of Color Conference that's coming up this fall in October 4th through 6th. We just talked about it with Mandisa, and we were still working on some of the links and notes, but I think it's all been finalized now, so I want to give you the update after we recorded the interview. Polaris Financial Planning, is going to match up to $5,000 to help this conference happen, but you have to go through this special magical link that's created to track contributions and or signing up for the conference through a special link. And that special link is blacknonbelievers.com/Phil. It's real straightforward. It's really easy. Matter of fact, if you go to blacknonbelievers.com, just the general website, or Google it, it'll direct you to it. On the right side, there's a picture of my incredibly oversized melon on the right. You just click on that, and it'll take you right to the page. I don't care how people contribute money here. I just care that they contribute money here. You can share this on social media. You can share this with your friends. I don't care how it happens, but whatever dollars come through this specific link will be tracked, and the first $5,000 will be matched by my company. So again, that's blacknonbelievers.com/Phil. So if you want to just go and donate some money, there's a form. You can just donate money, right? And then it'll go through the whole process of paying and all that stuff. If you want to go to the conference, which also would be cool, and again, it's welcome to everybody, it's $175, and that includes 2 meals, or you can just do conference only for $105. Even you paying for the conference counts. So you pay $175. I end up giving $175 to make sure that the conference goes on and succeeds. So it's a win-win for everybody. If you're in the Chicago area, and I hear this all the time, there's nothing going on in Chicago. Well, here it is, folks. If you're in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, even further out states, you can drive over to Chicago. It's going to be a fun conference, and it's only $175, and that includes the food. Of course, you'll need to find a place to stay. The hotel they're at is not that pricey, but there's other places around there you could stay at for even less if you're really motivated to save a few dollars. So go check it out. Again, blacknonbelievers.com/Phil. And if you can't make the conference, just donate some money. $5 is fine. $5,000 is fine. If someone donates $5,000, the match is made instantly. So it's up to you guys. Go do that. I appreciate it. Again, if you want to help for the show, patreon.com/Phil. And I think that's it for now. I have no 5-star reviews to read at this time. You can still go make those at iTunes or Stitcher. And once again, thanks for listening to the show. And I hope to see you out there on the road somewhere. Until then, ciao.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to live my life as it should be. He taught me how to turn my cheek when people laugh at me. I've had friends before, and I can tell you that he's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to pray and how to save my soul. He taught me how to praise my God and still play rock and roll. The music may sound different, but the message is the same. It's just an instrument to praise his name.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine.
Once I tried to run and hide. But Jesus came and found me and he touched me down inside. He is like a Mountie, he always gets his man. And he'll zap you any way he can. Zap.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He loves me when I'm right. He loves me when I'm wrong. He loves me when I waste my time by writing silly songs. He loves me when I'm quiet and I have nothing to say. He'll love me when I'm perfect if I ever get that way.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus.
Jesus